Hello everyone. Today we will be attempting May-June 2018 Biology Paper 1 Variant 1. So let's start with the first question. The diagram shows a palisade cell which structures the site of photosynthesis. Now we know photosynthesis is going to occur due to the chlorophyll. Now as you can clearly see, chlorophyll is labeled as B in this diagram. A is a nucleus, C is a cell wall, and D is a sap vacuole. So the answer will be B. Moving on, which process needs energy from respiration? Now, respiration, this means that this process is active transport. Movement of carbon dioxide into the villi is not done by active transport, it is by diffusion. Same goes with movement of oxygen into red blood cells, that is also diffusion. C part, uptake of glucose by cells in the villi. This is done by the process of active transport. So this needs energy from respiration. So C is the answer. And uptake of water by root hair cells is not the correct answer because it is done by osmosis. So C is the second answer. Moving on. A plant is growing in a fertile, well-watered soil. It is absorbing nitrate ions by active transport and water by osmosis. How do the concentrations of nitrate ions and water in the plant's roots compare to the concentrations in the soil? Now it's absorbing nitrate ion by active transport and water by osmosis. Now concentrations of ions in the root must be higher because active transport is from lower concentration to higher concentration, and it is absorbing them by active transport. That means the root has more ions than the soil, so it will be higher. And water is by osmosis, which moves from higher concentration to lower concentration. It means that the roots have a lower concentration of water, so it will be higher for concentration of nitrate ions and lower for concentration of water in the roots. Now moving on. In an enzyme's action, where is the active site and where are the lock and the key? Now the active site is present on the enzyme, the key is the substrate molecule, and the lock is the enzyme itself. So for active site it is on the enzyme, so it has to be from either A or B. The lock. The lock is on the enzyme and the key is on the substrate. So the answer will be A. The diagram represents a cross-section of a part of a leaf as seen using a microscope. Where does translocation, movement of sucrose and amino acids occur? Now, as we have been studying, translocation is the process which occurs due to phloem. Now we need to see where phloem is present. As you can see, this area which is labeled as B, this is the phloem. Above this area is the xylem which transports water, but they asked about translocation. Now the phloem, according to to the vascular bundle, it is present below the xylem, so it is B. The diagram shows an experiment to find the rate of photosynthesis in an aquatic plant in different conditions, which produces the most bubbles per minute. Alright, the difference is that they have reduced, in some diagrams they have added ice to lower the temperature of water, and in some they have brought the lamp closer in order to increase the light intensity. Now as we know, photosynthesis occurs at the most rapid rate when the temperature is higher. So that means the diagrams that contain ice are incorrect because photosynthesis will be lowered. Like the bubbles produced per minute will be produced due to photosynthesis, and if the process of photosynthesis is slowed down, the bubbles will be less as well. So C and D are incorrect. Now we're left with A and B. As you can see, the lamp is closer to the plant at B. That means the plant receives more sunlight, more light, we can say. It's not from the sun, so it receives more light, and thus the process of photosynthesis would occur more rapidly and more bubbles would be produced. So B is the answer. Moving on. A student grows seedlings in 4 different test tubes. Tube W contains all the mineral ions needed for healthy plant growth. Okay, so you can see W is a healthy plant. It contains all the required nutrients in its water. The diagram shows the appearance of these seedlings after 2 weeks. What do tubes X, Y, and Z contain? Now, as you can see, X has very little growth, and growth is mainly related to nitrate ions. So we will see where. So this means the water in which this plant is present lacks nitrate ions. So this is answer for X would be nitrate ions. No nitrate ions for X. For Y, we can see poor growth and yellow leaves. This means that the plant did not have magnesium ions, which are responsible for the production of chlorophyll. Now, due to absence of this ion, chlorophyll was not synthesized and therefore the leaves were yellow. and thus reducing the rate of photosynthesis and also reducing growth. So why would this mean that Y does not contain any magnesium ions? Moving on to Z, hardly any growth. This means that it does not contain neither nitrate ions nor magnesium ions. It contains only water. Looking at the options, according to whatever I explained, C fits to be the best option and the correct one out of these. So for 7, the answer will be C. Moving on, which substance is built from amino acids? We know that amino acids combine together to form proteins. So C would be the answer. Where does the bile enter the alimentary canal? Now this is quite a simple question. The answer will be B, as bile enters the alimentary canal not in the colon, because the colon is present in the large intestine. The bile enters the small intestine, the first part of the small intestine, which is known as the duodenum. The ileum comes after the duodenum. The bile has already been secreted into the duodenum when it enters the ileum, and in the stomach there is no bile secreted, there is only hydrochloric acid. So the answer will be B. The surface area of the small intestine is increased by the villi in the intestinal wall. How does the increased surface area help absorption of digested materials? Alright, what's the first option? It makes peristalsis more efficient. No, peristalsis has nothing to do with surface area. More mucus is produced for lubrication. No, it is not related to surface area. More starch and protein can be absorbed. Yes, this is the correct. No, this is also not the correct answer, because there is a greater chance of food molecules diffusing into the blood. Now, this is related to high surface area, a larger surface area. So, protein and starch anyway are not absorbed. Amino acids and glucose are absorbed. So, C is also wrong. D is the correct option. Moving on, the photograph shows the cells of a vascular bundle from a stem as seen using a microscope. What is tissue G and what is its function? Now, as we can see, xylem are larger than the phloem. If you have studied the diagram, then you must have noticed that xylem is the larger circle and the phloem is the smaller circle. So we've identified already that G is basically the xylem. So this means that xylem, and we also know the function of xylem to transport water to the leaves. So first of all, D is the correct option because it is G is xylem, and nextly it transports water to the leaves. When plants are growing in soil saturated with water, their roots lack oxygen. How will the function of the root hairs be affected in these conditions? Now, when the roots lack oxygen, they cannot carry out the process of active transport. Therefore, they will uptake less nitrate ions because they can only uptake them from diffusion. So, the process of transpiration will not occur, so uptake of nitrate ions will be slowed down, and uptake of water will remain unaffected because that is occurred due to the process of osmosis, which does not require any energy which from respiration, which requires the presence of oxygen. So nitrate ions uptake would be slowed down and uptake of water would be unaffected. Which blood vessel transports blood into the liver? Now we know that the answer over here is A, because the hepatic portal vein from the villi goes straight to the liver. So that's why it is the correct answer. Hepatic vein takes blood away from the liver, and the pulmonary vein takes blood back to the heart. The renal vein takes blood back from the kidneys. So the answer will be A. The diagram shows the blood pressure of a person at rest as the blood leaves the heart and passes through the arteries and then capillaries. Which line shows the pressure of blood as it flows through the veins before returning to the heart? As we know that as the time passes, the pressure of blood will decrease. So the line would continue going down, and only line which is continuing to go down over here is the D part, because as the blood travels more and more, its pressure will decrease over time. So 14, the answer will be D. Now many people will think that veins have a higher blood pressure than capillaries, so they will go for B or C, but they both are incorrect. D is the correct option. Which the diagram shows a section through part of a vein. What could be the first organs found in direction 1 and 2? Okay, now we can see that it is a vein firstly. Now, according to this, the blood is flowing from 2 to 1 because the blood will pass under this wall which is present. The blood will pass under it, not from above it. So this means that the blood is coming from 2 to 1. Now if you look at the options, I will explain the others first so that you may understand the answer. For B, it's saying that 2 is liver, 1 is intestine. Now the blood does not flow from liver to intestine, so this is wrong. Now second is heart to kidney, because 2, he is saying that 2 is heart and first is kidney. Now first of all, there is no vein in our body that carries blood from our heart to our kidney. It may be an artery, but it's not a vein. Then he is saying that from the heart to the lung. Now the blood being carried from the heart to the lung is carried out from the heart to the lung is not carried out by a vein, it's carried out by the pulmonary artery. So it is also wrong. The correct option is A. Which word equation describes the respiration that occurs in an athlete's muscle before the start of a race? Now, before the start of a race, anaerobic respiration won't occur. It will be normal respiration. So we can easily see that the answer is D, because oxygen plus glucose equals to carbon dioxide plus water. Right now, there will be aerobic respiration because it says before the race has started, not after. So respiration would be normal currently. Yeast is used in bread making. Why does the bread contain little or no alcohol? Now, this is quite an easy question, because alcohol is not produced by the yeast is incorrect, because yeast does produce alcohol. Sugar is not used by the yeast. This is also incorrect. D part, the yeast produces lactic acid. This is also wrong. It does not. And C part, the alcohol evaporates during baking. This is correct, because alcohol is highly volatile, so it evaporates straight away. Table shows the effect of exercise on the rate and depth of breathing at rest. He's shown us in after exercise as well. What is the increase in volume of air exchanged per minute after exercise compared to at rest? Okay, now we can easily calculate this. At rest, he has 12 breaths per minute. So we will multiply 12 into 500, and let me calculate the answer. 12 into 500, it is 6000. So at rest, he's breathing 6000 centimeter cubes of air. After exercise, it's 24 breaths per minute, and every breath he takes away 1000 centimeter cube of air. So the answer will be 24,000 for exercise and 6000 for rest. Now what is the volume of air exchange per minute after exercise compared to at rest? Increase in volume. Now that will be 24,000 minus 6000. The answer we will get will be 18,000, which is C part. So the answer is C. D. The diagram shows shows how a kidney dialysis machine works. Each shape represents a molecule found in blood or dialysis fluid. Which shape represents urea? Now let me look at this question. As you can see, some molecules are present in the dialysis fluid while some are present in the blood. Now we can see that the circle is only present in the blood. It is not diffusing through the membrane into the dialysis fluid. This means that it cannot be urea, because urea does diffuse from blood into the dialysis fluid. Secondly, the other options we have are a square, a dot, and a triangle. So we can easily see that in the start of the dialysis fluid, in the first row or column, we can say, from where it is coming dialysis fluid in, it does not contain any triangles. But as it meets the blood at the dialysis membrane, triangles enter into the dialysis fluid. So this means that triangle is the answer, which is D, because urea diffuses into the blood, into the dialysis fluid from the blood, which can clearly be, we can see that it is done by D, the triangle. Moving on, the diagram shows some of the structures seen in a section through human skin. What is the function of structure X? As we can see, X is a receptor which detects changes in temperature. Let's see the options. To cause capillaries to constrict, no, this is incorrect. To detect changes in temperature, yes, this is correct. So B is the answer. C is not correct because to receive impulses from central nervous system, that's not the function of this, labeled X. And to stimulate sweat glands for releasing sweat, it is also not its function. Its function is to detect changes in temperature because it is a temperature receptor.